So you want to know what it really takes to be a professional hacker? Yeah, forget all that stuff you see in the movies, the chaotic typing, the flashy graphics. The real deal, it's actually a super structured, really disciplined process. It's all about finding the weak spots before the bad guys too. So let's actually map out that journey. To really get a handle on this, the source material gives us this awesome analogy. It's like Star Wars. Seriously. Hacking has its own force with two very different sides. You've got your Jedis and your Siths. And both sides, they have some serious skills, right? But what really separates them? It's not just their tools, it's their why, their intent. And as we're going to see, it's all about their methodology. All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with the two sides of hacking. Then we'll walk through the four main phases: reconnaissance, scanning, exploitation, and post-exploitation. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at the professional's endgame. Let's get into it.
All right, first up, the two sides of hacking. And really what this all comes down to is methodology. Okay, so here's the absolute biggest difference: authorization. The white hat hacker, our Jedi, has permission, like actual written permission. They have a scope, they have rules of engagement they have to follow. Their whole job is to find the holes so a company can patch them up. But the black hat, the Sith, they're the shadow. No permission, no rules, and they're just in it for themselves.
And the main tool in the white hat's arsenal? It's the penetration test, or what we call a pen test. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a fire drill for your digital security. It's a controlled, totally simulated attack. The whole point is to find those hidden cracks in the wall before a real attacker does. So this whole process, you can actually picture it as an upside-down triangle. It's a really logical flow. You start at the top, the widest part, just gathering tons of general info. Then, as you go down through each phase, your focus gets narrower and narrower, until you're at the very bottom, that single sharp point, which is one specific exploitable weakness. And this journey, this inverted triangle, it's really broken down into four main technical stages. You've got reconnaissance, then scanning, exploitation, and finally post-exploitation. And listen, mastering this exact methodology, that's what separates the pros from the script kiddies. It's the absolute foundation for tough certifications like the OSCP. So let's break down each one. Okay, phase one, reconnaissance. We just call it recon. This is the spy phase, right? It's all about intelligence gathering. It's quiet, you gotta be patient, and the goal is to learn everything you possibly can about your target without them even knowing you're looking. And recon really comes in two main flavors. First, you've got passive recon. This is totally hands-off, completely invisible. You're using public stuff, like becoming a Google ninja to find documents they didn't mean to share, or using tools like the Harvester to find a list of employee emails. Super useful. Then there's active recon. This is where you might make some light contact. Like maybe you use a tool to make an offline copy of their whole website so you can pick it apart later. It's all about building a detailed file on your target. All right, we've got our intel from the recon phase. Now we move a little further down that triangle to phase two, scanning. This is where things get a bit more active. We're going to take all that info we gathered and start actively probing the target, looking for open doors. And this house analogy from the source material, it's perfect. Think of any computer on a network like a house. It has thousands and thousands of potential doors and windows. These are called ports. So port 80 might be the front door for website traffic, while port 22 is like the back door for an administrator. Scanning is literally just walking around the house and checking every single door, every single window to see which ones are unlocked. And using a tool like the legendary Nmap, you get to choose how you check those doors. A full connect scan? That's the loud approach. It's like walking up and rattling the doorknob really hard. It completes the whole digital handshake and screams, "I was here," in the log files. But then you have the SYN scan, the classic stealth scan. This is more like a quiet little knock on the door. You start the handshake, but you never finish it. You just listen. For older systems, it's way, way harder to detect. Okay, now we get to it. The part everyone thinks about when you say the word hacking. Phase 3, exploitation. We're at the very tip of that inverted triangle now. This is where we take what we learn from scanning and we actually get in. I love this. The source material calls it hacking Hugh Jackman style. You know exactly what they mean, right? The movies with the crazy 3D graphics flying across the screen. Look, the reality is, it's usually just a black screen with text, a command line, or a shell. But that shell gives you total control. And that feeling you get, that rush when the exploit works and that shell pops up, oh yeah, that part is 100% real. The number one tool for this job, hands down, is the Metasploit framework. Just think of it like a giant searchable toolbox full of digital skeleton keys. So let's say our scan found a system vulnerable to a really famous old Windows bug, MS08-067. First step, we just search Metasploit to see if it has a key for that lock.
And what do you know? It does. So we load it up with the use command. Now here's a key thing to understand. The exploit just kicks the door open. You still need a payload to tell it what to do once you're inside. The payload is the mission. And for this mission, we're going to choose a payload that installs a remote desktop tool called VNC on the target.
And then it's the moment of truth. The final command is just exploit. You hit enter. Metasploit does its thing, it sends the code, it breaks through the vulnerability, it drops off the payload, and just like that, boom. A new window opens on our computer, and we're looking at the victim's desktop. We have full control. It's like we're sitting right there at their keyboard. But wait, getting in? That's not the end of the game. Not even close. For a real attacker, this is actually where the real work begins. Welcome to Phase 4, Post-exploitation. This is all about what you do after the hack. So once you're inside, the whole mission changes. Now it's about staying in. An attacker will plant a backdoor so they can get back in later. They'll try to escalate their privileges, go from a regular user to the all-powerful administrator. They'll use that first machine as a pivot point, a beachhead to launch attacks deeper inside the network. And a crazy powerful Metasploit tool called MeterPreter is basically the Swiss Army knife for this. It has commands to do anything, from dumping all the passwords to logging every single keystroke, or even taking screenshots of what the user is doing right now. Okay, so we've just run through the entire technical playbook, from spying on a target to completely taking over a machine. But remember, we're talking about the white hat, the Jedi. And for them, the most critical part of the whole job happens after all that fun stuff is done. And this quote right here says it all. For a true professional, the hack itself isn't the trophy. The report is the trophy. Think about it. You could pull off the most brilliant hack in the world, but if your report is terrible, it's useless. If the person paying you can't understand the problem and can't follow your steps to fix it, you just wasted everyone's time. That final report, that's your legacy. That's what your entire reputation is built on. So when you think about it, the real toolkit for an ethical hacker isn't just a bunch of software. No way. It's having your own hacking lab with virtual machines so you can practice safely and legally. It's a rock-solid commitment to a professional methodology, something like the PTES, the Penetration Testing Execution Standard, that makes sure your work is consistent and high quality. But more than anything, it's a mindset. It's that nagging curiosity about how things work and how they break. And it's knowing you have to be learning something new every single day. So there you have it, the whole roadmap, from start to finish. From quiet recon all the way to that final critical report. You can see the process is structured, the ethics are clear, and the impact you can have is huge. So the only real question left is that mindset right for you?